Last orders at the bar!
A night in with Mauler and the drinker, getting trashed with the web screen thinkers. A cheap night cause I'm feeling kinda thrifty, got a 10-pack of beers and a bottle of whiskey. Hop off the cork, have a glass of wine, I'll feel safe, I'll be fine. Trouble walking in a straight line, but pour me a Pinot Noir. It's open bar with our hosts, Mauler and the critical drinker.
Well, hello everyone. It's your friendly neighborhood drinker tonight. Mauler's going to be joining us shortly, but he's just finishing up some stuff. So I was too excited, man. I had to get started with this, so I thought I'm going to kick off this last orders right away, and then Mauler can join us at his leisure. So I'll do my best to keep you guys entertained. This is actually the catch-up from Open Bar 137, which I did right before I went off on vacation, and then I just hadn't had a chance to catch up on the super chats from that one. So now that I'm back and I've actually had a chance to catch up, and Mauler and I are available this evening, this seemed like the ideal time to do it. So here we are, and I'm just going to jump right in and start answering some of the questions right here. And then, like I say, once Mauler gets here, he can jump in and carry on with me. But yeah, the first one that I can see here was from M8566, who says, I finally got around to watching Aliens for the first time. Good Lord, what have you been doing for your whole life, man? Anyway, he says, wow, what a great movie. What are some of your favorite scenes or moments from the film? I mean, damn, man, the entire movie is like practically a highlight. Yeah, there's almost never a dull moment in it. But if I had to pick some of my favorites, it's got to be Hudson's Last Stand. Like, that is just absolute superb cinema right there. The man just went out like an absolute boss after completely redeeming himself. What a superb character. What a superb performance from Bill Paxton. I also really love the gearing up scene when Ripley's on her way to the atmosphere processor to save Newt. And she's just like, you know, she's getting the pulse rifle out, she's getting the flamethrower, the grenades, like extra ammo. It's just such a cool combination of great visuals, iconic weapons. The soundtrack by James Horner is just absolute tension building perfection there. So yeah, those are some of my favorite moments from the film. It's just man, I want to go and watch Aliens again right now. Zeddy Boy says, just saw The Mummy in theaters again. Good stuff. You guys should do a Halloween arc where you watch original monster classics and their reboots. Yes, absolutely. Love The Mummy as a movie. Great fun, great adventure. It's funny, actually. I went to Universal Studios when I was on holiday and rode the Mummy ride for like the 10th time in my life. And it was really quiet at the time. So I just went like straight back on it as soon as I was done. It's such a fun ride. But yeah, man, I love those movies. Even the third one is pretty weak, you know, but it's still got Brendan Fraser doing his damnedest to hold that movie up. So yeah, it would be a great one to talk about, actually. Thumbs up for 1981 says, Drinker, Mauler, Platoon, and Gary, the four horsemen of getting me through my work week. Hello, all. Hello to you, sir. Ragtag Muscle says, with Minecraft coming out, have any of you watched Napoleon Dynamite? It's directed by the same guy. Indie comedy set in rural Idaho. Yes, I have seen Napoleon Dynamite, and I'm sure Mauler has too. It's one of those classics from back in the day. Been a long time since I've watched it, but it's a pretty funny movie. It's not one of my favorites to rewatch, but I do quite like it. Dr. Martin Luther Pepe says, Leighton Gay. Yep, as always. LC Le Pen says, apparently the showrunner for Netflix's One Piece has left before post-production barely started. Is this negligible or more Netflix season 2 curse? It could be, you know, it could be. This is the danger with shows when they get really popular. Netflix start to get their claws into them, and then it all goes a bit wrong. I'm holding out hope, okay? I'm holding out hope that it's going to be good because I really liked season 1. Aurora Uplinks says, Pearl Harbor allegory film set in Star Wars. Soldiers survive a surprise attack and take the remnant fleet to hunt down the source of the attack. Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. I like that idea. We're talking about original Star Wars ideas. Snex says 1937, Gary's birthday. That is brutal. OMG Puppies says the fairy tale of Snow White contains 2 archetypal stories. 1, woman gets high status man. 2, old women sabotage young women. The feminism in the new Snow White film is is itself an example of number 2. It kind of is, yeah. I think in this case, the young woman kind of deserved it. What's it? Sandwiches with mayonnaise give me depression. Okay. Says Erin's teeth are whiter than Snow White. Okay, nice. Gilmunder Borstenson. Sorry, that's quite a name there. Muller, you massive. How could you not mention that 1937 was the year your old buddy H.P. Lovecraft died? I know, he should have just known that off the top of his head. What a loser. Craig the Bad Guy says, I'll miss you guys' Firefly reviews, but I'll miss the Farscape tangents that you go on every episode even more. I know, man. What can I say? I'm just obsessed with Farscape. I just love it. And, you know, I got to experience another show that was around at the same time and, you know, just as fun, just as enjoyable, just didn't get as many seasons. But hey, no, maybe we'll do some Farscape watch-throughs as well at some point. Jurassic Ovaries says, before I fuck off to work the night shift, I just wanted to thank you, Drinker and Mauler, for introducing me to Serenity. Watched it and loved it. Nice! Just like me, you watched it about 20 years too late, but you know what? Better late than never. Paz to Wheels says, Drinker and Pals, I wanted you to know I cancelled my Amazon Prime account a month ago, and when leaving my survey review, I cited Rings of Power as the reason. I like to think that Amazon listened and acted. I mean, we can only hope, man. We can only hope. But that's the sort of thing that gets companies to change their minds. Not just one person, obviously, but the collective bargaining power of millions of people choosing to not pay for things. So good on you. Master of Puppets says, Drinker and Mauler, due to horrible off-screen circumstances, you have to cast either Rachel Zegler or Ezra Miller in your upcoming films. Who are you casting? Oh, man. See, it's a tricky one, right? Because Rachel Zegler is kind of toxic and box office poison, I would imagine. But Ezra Miller is just batshit insane. So which is the worst choice? I mean, Rachel Zegler is probably less likely to fuck up your film while you're shooting it, but more likely to fuck it up afterwards, like when you're trying to promote it. Yeah, I'll probably go with her on the basis that she could at least get through the shoot intact. Cannon Folderall says, 30s Disney, risk it all to make a film, build on success and open theme parks. Disney now can't make any original films or keep a Star Wars hotel open. I know it's actually kind of tragic what's happened to that company and what it's become. And you know, as much as we shit on it and stuff, like I would like to live in a world where Disney was producing really good movies, like classic movies that future generations are going to enjoy, like we do with the, you know, all the stuff up until probably the 90s. You know, that's what I'd like to see. I don't want to see them fail, but at the moment, they're bringing it on themselves. Chops says, hey guys, rewatched Netflix Daredevil, and I'm at a complete loss as to why Mahoney doesn't have Cherry's spot in the snow. It's like it's already a black character, so why the chains? Muse felt rushed too, in my opinion. So, that's a good point, actually. I never finished the Daredevil on Disney Plus, actually specifically because Mauler told me it's not worth my time. You know, we talked about this on Open Bar a week or two ago when the show had just come to an end, and I was like, is it worth me catching up on it so I can review it? And he basically said, nah, it's not worth your time, and no one cares anymore. So I thought, all right, not going to bother then. Just seems like it's, you know, it started off pretty weak in terms of ratings and interest. After that amazing trailer that everyone was hyped for, no one actually bothered to watch the show, and then it just fell off a cliff from there. But they are still making a season 2 somehow, so I don't know what they'll do there. Right, LC Le Pen says, how did Open Bar take the Switch 2 news yesterday? Is this the start of industry-wide price increase? Also, Mauler, congrats on totally not Bloodborne 2. So it could well be, yeah. I think they'll do this as a test bed. If people accept it and they still make money off it, then it could well become the industry standard. And wow, games and stuff are going to get real expensive from now on. Oh, excuse me. Too much talking. Carrier, a Raccoon City story, says, I'm officially the new bassist for one of my all-time favorite punk bands, The Briefs. Will be touring the UK and Germany end of April through May, and then finishing in Vegas for Memorial Day weekend. Cheers! Fucking good on you, sir. Well done. That is awesome news, and congratulations. Yeah, hopefully you have some good shows while you're on tour, man. Net Stealer says, so far it sounds like a regurgitated Pixel script. What were we talking? Oh yeah, Minecraft. Yes. Clan McEwen Society says, Drinker, out of interest, which cinema do you favourite and use? We head from Kirkcaldy up to the Odeon Deluxe in Dundee. Comfortable, minimal BAMs. Hail. Yeah. In Dundee, minimal BAMs. Damn, that's impressive. My personal favourite one is the... Oh, Christ, what's it called again? It's like this really beautiful Art Deco cinema over in Edinburgh. The name has totally jumped out of my head. Hold on. The Dominion, that's it. Yeah, if I can make it over there, I try to. Like, it's a bit of a trek for me, but man, the setting there is just awesome. But failing that, it's usually just an Odeon. You know, I'm not too particular. Just go to the nearest one. Jason B says, Drinker, we'd love to hear what you learned and what feedback was most helpful after working on Rogue Elements. How do you plan to improve your future films? By the way, just made a contribution. Hope you and Mauler crush it. Thank you very much, sir. And yeah, biggest lessons, I think, were the ones that I probably had an inkling of, like, when we were making the film, and then it's just kind of solidified once you start getting feedback from people. The big thing was to have a really firm, well-defined script that we don't keep adding on to, and that we don't keep trying to bolt additional characters and work in more stuff from the books. Keep it tight, keep it focused, and know the story you want to tell, and don't get tempted by, oh, we could also do this, you know? The other difference you'll probably notice with the films that we put out in this case is they're going to be less action focused, because we kind of already did that with Rogue Elements. So there's not going to be much point in just doing the same thing again. Certainly Trial by Fire is a much more interesting, hopefully, character study. There is tension there, and there is a little bit of action scenes, but it's not going to be as over the top as we had with Rogue Elements. So again, we're not trying to show off with this and say, oh, look at all the resources we've got. Now it's a case of, right, let's try and tell the best stories we can. And yeah, try and keep them tight and focused this time around. And so they'll be shorter as well. Rogue Elements was 40 odd minutes. These ones will be 15 to 20 minutes. So considerably shorter. And yeah, like I say, a lot of the other lessons we learned were kind of logistical stuff, behind the scenes, the size of the crew, the amount of equipment we need, that sort of thing. We can scale some of that back because we won't need as many people this time around, and we can have a leaner production, which allows us to do more with less again. So yeah, those are the main lessons. Hopefully we do improve. The next one is Screwball Sector. Says, just go watch Animator versus Animation Season 2, Episode 5 to 8. 30 minutes of super-powered stickmen epic fights. Better than anything the Minecraft movie is going to give you. All show, don't tell. Wow. Okay. Interesting recommendation on that one. Joe G says, I'm a head chef in a kitchen and we blast open bar and Friday night tights on during prep time. Much love from our kitchen team. Keep it up, guys. That is fucking cool, man. Thank you for that. Yeah, I'm glad we can keep you guys entertained. I hope you haven't gotten distracted and poisoned anyone because of us. So awesome stuff, man, and keep up the good work. Rimmed says, Neon Genesis Evangelion is only 26 episodes and 5 movies, and you can get the tone of the anime from episode 1, one of the top-rated animes of all time. I have heard nothing but good things about that, to be fair. Snex says, Hail Open Bar. I once asked if I had a story idea, who should I pitch it to? Looks like it's going to be you. Even if it's not picked, I hope you can read it and be inspired for future projects. Awesome, man, and looking forward to reading it. Like I've said on the Kickstarter, once the funding phase is wrapped up, which is going to be the May 1st, I think, is when it ends, then we will, obviously consolidate what we've got to work with, and then we'll put out the email address that you've to send your submissions to. So still gives you a little bit more time to have your story ready. You'll then get a couple of weeks to send in your submissions to a specific address. We'll read them all and we'll choose what we think is the best 10 or so that the the rest of the Kickstarter backers can then vote on. And so the top voted one is the one that will get made. So, like I say, just keep in mind when you're submitting this that it is going to be, as all of these, short films are going to be, they're low budget films, so you can't have crazy action sequences and you can't have crazy VFX or stuff like that, because that's going to be outside the realm of what we can do with this. So keep it constrained and focus more on the characters, the dialogue, that sort of thing. And then just really show us what you can do. That's my best advice. But yeah, looking forward to what people send in. Douglas Kelly says, maybe I missed this being mentioned before, but have anyone on the panel watched Black Sails? If so, what did you think of the show? I put it in my top 10 TV shows. Thanks, and keep up the great work. Neither of us have, neither me nor Mauler. I don't know about Gary. I've heard nothing but good things about it. As we've said before, I'd love to watch it. It's literally just finding the time to watch a whole new TV show. That's the only problem. Elsie Le Pen says, by the way, the Naked Gun reboot trailer is out. Yeah, that just makes me sad. I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad trailer. I'm just like, why are you doing this? Like, Naked Gun is like an absolute classic. I don't think you're going to improve on that. Cannon Faldero, Drinker in 1937 also gave us A Star is Born, remade about 1 million times, which is true. A Day at the Races, and Ronald Reagan's film debut, Love is in the Air. Cheers. Yes, it was an interesting year for movies indeed. Arm514 says there's a new Naked Gun trailer. Yes, indeed, there is. Too Tired says, best children's film, in my opinion, is All Dogs Go to Heaven. Watched it 100 times as a kid. Great story, writing, characters. Even the afterword treats kids seriously. Kids' movies these days can't compare. Yeah, indeed, they cannot, man. Yeah, I think the best one that I can recall watching recently, The Wild Robot, was really good. I did enjoy that. And probably Puss in Boots, The Last Wish. That was it had no right to be as good as it was. I was genuinely impressed by that film. But yeah, for the most part, I don't think they can really hold a candle to, the films that you used to get in previous decades. Mark Skywanker says, sup, my neighbors? Gary, you said on Nooner that you have watched Space Movie 1992. Was it any good? Space Movie? No idea about that, I'm afraid. Riley Hill says, you'd think with Matt Murdock being blind, he'd end up dating at least one woman who looks like an ogre. I know. I mean, I guess he can touch their faces, see what they feel like. Yeah, which reminds me of that Family Guy skit from Mask where Cher's touching his face and she's like, oh my God, you're ugly. And he's just trying to convince her no, real beauty's on the inside, isn't it? And she's like, yeah, but there's limits. Jesus. Vanessa says, I watched the first 2 episodes of Daredevil Born Again, already lost interest and started watching the Netflix show again. Hi, Little Platoon. Oh, nice. And yeah, I kind of had the same problem. I got a few more episodes into it than you did, but ran out of steam with it and just kind of didn't care after a while. There's only so many times I can watch Kingpin in a fucking therapy session. Yeah, it's just boring, man. 11 Better says, Mauler, thoughts on a Dark Souls stream with the lads using Inferno Plus's Trouble in Terrorist Town mod. About to watch the Minecraft movie. I'll check back in once the stream gets uploaded. Believe that. I don't know what Mauler thinks about that. I feel like I would not be an asset on a Dark Souls stream, unfortunately. But you got to love the mods, man. They do great stuff. Patriotic Cat says, I saw cheers with names I know, and I clapped. I know that seems to be the mentality around films like Avengers now. We've got lots of people you recognize. Cecilia Leitz says, hi, thanks for the entertainment. I released my 4th book, A Dragon's Flame, this month. It's full of dragons, whisperers, mages, and their rogue counterparts. Follow Connie Whitsburg, her dragon, Knightley, and friends, Sam and Judy, on their adventures. Nice, and congratulations to you, Cecilia. Well done. Hope the book's a success. Mega Spidey Man says, when Maul returned, I was very torn on him surviving the Phantom Menace, partially due to his vast rage. I'm still torn on if Vader's survival made sense in, what is it, ROTS? Revenge of the Sith. I mean, I guess I don't know why it took me so long to put that one together, actually. Brain's not working tonight. I mean, Vader's injuries in some ways weren't as severe. I kind of feel like getting sliced in half across the midsection and then falling like however many 1,000 feet down that reactor shaft is probably even worse than losing your limbs and getting burned. If that's possible, you know, it's by degree. So I can buy Vader's survival, particularly the fact that he's so fucked up he needs like a mechanical suit to just stay alive after that. That felt somewhat plausible, at least in the context of Star Wars. I don't like the idea of Maul surviving. That's just stupid, man. Will says, if Firefly had many seasons, the first death may have been Simon. Dies protecting / rescuing River, finally able to trust the crew to care for her. They'd pull together and slowly learn her story. River and Kaylee would be most affected. Mal and Zoe would feel responsible. Shepard would have more work to do, and the stakes would be raised by having no doctor. He'd be missed and referenced often. I think that's a good shout. Yeah, I mean, in a sense, his entire like personality and his entire character is tied to River, and so I guess if she's kind of recovered, then there's almost no need for him to be around anymore, which, you know, sounds very brutal, but that's kind of the way it works with characters. They need to have a purpose in the story. One of my big regrets, or, you know, disappointments with Serenity is just the fact that Preacher got killed off without really learning anything about who he was or where he came from. I felt like they were building up to some really cool revelation with him, and it just never really happened, and he just kind of died. So it was a real shame. Yeah, again, he might have been a character where once you learn all of his secrets, again, there's not so much need to have him around, and you could probably have had him killed off as well. Kevin O'Neill says, wait out yourself as a tool, Boyega. The only time your race came up was when Disney, not us, shrunk your face on Chinese movie posters to appease actual racists. And to think we came to your defense when that happened. Absolutely, man. You're 100% right. John Boyega seems to have a different take on the whole like racism and Star Wars thing, depending on, you know, what's going to make him the most money, what's going to give him the most career opportunities. And between him and Kelly Marie Tran, I just can't shake the feeling that like they're gearing up for another Star Wars movie that they're going to be in, and so they're having to toe the company line again and just absolve Disney of all blame, which is just pathetic, man. I think particularly in Boyega's case, I can buy it because he's done fuck all since Star Wars. Like, he's really not achieved anything in his career, and I suppose he's just getting a bit desperate for a bit more attention again. Maybe this is the only way to get it. Womprat says, since you all have decided to watch some good TV lately, you must check out the brilliant Aussie series Mr. In Between. 95% on Rotten Tomatoes, IMDb 8.7, perfection. I have heard lots of good things about Mr. In Between, indeed. Matthew Dexter says, but Drinker, you joker serious judge of Jack Daniels, I need you to review the long-cancelled Netflix show Another Life. I would love to hear you rip it apart. I could do that. Which one is that? Because there's so many about lives there. Another Life, Netflix. Let's see. Is it the one I'm thinking? Oh, right. So it's a sci-fi story. It's not the one I'm thinking of then. It's got Katie Sackhoff in it. He's kind of always been looking for that killer role after Battlestar Galactica and never quite found it. I don't think the Mandalorian's the way forward for her. Yeah. Okay. Oh, when did that come out? 2019. Yeah, it's a while now. Okay, I'll keep it in mind. Anyway, next one is Muchiro Tokito says, y'all think the Daredevil show had lawyers as consultants? I mean, more than She-Hulk, that's for sure. Black Snape, great name, says, the reason every civilization since the beginning of time has put thieves in the same category as murderers and rapists is because you can't have a civilization if people can just take each other's property. Yes, that's 100% true. And that's how you maintain the rule of law. And that's why these ridiculous commune things that they try to set up, they never work long term. Neko Onyx says, follow up from Open Bar 136. Yes, there is a litany of grim tales that you could squeeze a 120-page script from that hasn't been done before. The Minecraft movie sounds like the beginning is on par with the live-action Super Mario Brothers. Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, it's it's got that same setup of like, you know, people in the real world sucked into the game world. Mario Brothers did it with a bit more panache, and it was funnier. Yeah, Minecraft is just fucking hard going, man. Praveen Yadav says, hello, everyone. Keep up the good work. Love from India. Thank you, man. Right back at you. Derek says, I thought Adolescence was excellent with powerful performances and revolutionary technique. It saddens me that it's been turned into a battleground for the culture war. It does, yeah. And we talked about this quite a bit on the bar that night. Yeah, my overall take on it is very impressive piece of work, performance-wise, writing-wise. You know, the technical demands that must have been put on people to do single-take episodes are incredible. But yeah, I hate that it's just been used as a cudgel to beat boys over the head with. Like, are you ashamed enough of yourself yet? And it's like, they don't seem to realize that's just going to create more people like the kid in that show, like kids who are just alienated, resentful, angry, and feel like society just despises them. You know, what's that accomplishing? Eyes to the Sky says, greetings, panel. I'm late to the game, but congrats on joining EFAP Little Platoon. It was long overdue. Indeed it is. Yeah, it's great to see him on there. Panel, have you seen the trailer for the Naked Gun reboots? I was cynical when I first heard about it, but it got a laugh out of me. It was same with me, as I was saying earlier. It looks pretty decent. I just questioned the point of doing it, you know? Like the first Naked Gun movie, even the second was really good. But I'll reserve judgment until I've seen it. Melina Goranson. Right. Drinker, when are you going to visit Red Letter Media? What movie would you bring to Best of the Worst? I mean, it's not like they're banging on my door or anything to get me on. Like, these things, I guess, are done by invite only. So, yeah. What movie would you bring to Best of the Worst? I don't know, man. If I was just picking out my favorite movies, it would be like, you know, my classic ones that I always go to, like Big Trouble in Little China or something like that, you know? Street Fighter, the movie, that would be great fun. Stuff like that, you know? Riley Hill. Love to hear that Mahler made Drinker a brown coat. He did indeed. He turned me. I love Ariel and Shindig. Ariel for the airlock scene at the end, and Shindig for the Mao and Inara scenes. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I could pick any episode of that show and find, you know, a whole bunch of great scenes that I love in it. And yeah, I'm pleased that I finally got the chance to watch it. So very happy. Polysemia says, just pledged on Trial by Fire. Bring the indie. Thank you. Yes, appreciate it, man. And we will do our best to not let anyone down. Short Round Operator. Hi, Drinker. I'm an aspiring post-production editor at CSULA University. Former military, I like your breakdown of many movies and I use it in my studies. Sad my courses have focused on other things like sex and gender classes. I am sorry that you're having to go through that shit, man. Just try and stay strong, get your qualification at the end of it, and then get busy making stuff that you want to make. But yeah, best of luck to you. You know, speaking of military guys making stuff, I was talking about this on Twitter like last night. I think I went and saw Warfare, which is an A24 movie. I think it's gotten an American release. I'm pretty sure it has. Low budget. It was done for less than 20 million. But it's a great, brutally accurate, I assume anyway, and realistic depiction of war. It takes place in Iraq back in 2006. And it's not some grandiose, you know, operation where the whole fate of the war rests on this one, you know, battle that's going on. It's just the kind of by the numbers battle that takes place that kind of happens every day almost in a war like that. But the performances are great. The sound design is incredible. It actually made me jump in my seat at one point, and it never happens in a cinema normally. And apparently, yeah, it was made by a bunch of military guys. The people who were actually involved in it were consultants for it to get the realism aspect. And I just think that's awesome. So I would definitely encourage people to watch it. William Shatner Mouth says, will we get season 3 of Rings of Power now that Salky is gone? Will we get more Dom Lemonless and the Valerian Society of Elven Negroes? So they will do it. They probably had it in production already, so it'll be going ahead. It'll be interesting to see if things change now that Salky is gone, whether they might make it less about the message and all the identity politics crap. We'll never quite know, but we'll find out, I guess, once it comes out. But yeah, man, I think they're going to have to start making some major changes to that show. They're already going to do like a time jump, apparently, to the middle of the War of the Ring, which kind of feels like they're skipping over, potentially an entire season's worth just to get closer to the end and get this over with as quickly as possible. It is a bit of a money drain on them, I would imagine. And if I was them, I just want to get it over with as quickly as possible and say, okay, it's done now. Let's move on. But while I've been talking here, the long man himself has appeared backstage, so he is ready to join us. Welcome, Marlon.
Hello. So sorry. I'm here.
It's
rather
good to have
busy
you here.
day.
I've been killing time until you got here,
Time is dead. Are you going to jail or what?
He's almost there, but like I had to work hard on it. But it's good that I've got you here now, and I don't have to just answer these super chats single-handedly, especially when they're questions directed at you. So I just have to make up your answers. But if you're ready, we can carry on.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Will Over Heels Enterprises says, at least I can laugh at the Minecraft movie on how bad it is. Can't say the same for the Fallout show. Ooh,
ouch. Well, I don't know. It's no G20.
I mean, that was a movie. That was definitely a movie of all time.
Oh, yes.
Have you seen Minecraft yet, actually? I can't remember.
Yeah. We did a EFAP on it. It's fucking piss, but
It's funny, right? Because I did my review, right? And so many of the comments were like, well, I went to the cinema and loads of people were clapping and cheering for it. It's like, so they were probably like 8 years old and autistic and just huge Minecraft fans. Doesn't make it a good movie.
Yeah, I mean, it's clearly worked out for a load of people, but it's just not quite the metric. Like Endgame, I think everyone agrees now it was crap. It's like that was a huge cinema thing. It's like, well, it could have been good too.
Yeah, it could have been. Could have been.
Simple as that.
Jonathan Mulligan says, I would have loved if they did a different intro with all the Firefly crew giving their perspectives on what happened to Earth and what's their purpose now. They only did Mal and Preacher. Is that the intro for Serenity?
I don't think. I mean, that's kind of a different story at that point. That would take some time. I don't know if that's necessary.
I do think, in the context of Firefly, say they got 5 seasons or however many they were planning. Do you think there ever would have been an episode set on Earth or a storyline that took them back to Earth? Maybe.
I could see them saying that it's not necessary or that it distracts from the world that is Firefly as is, though.
I think so, yeah. It would just be interesting to see what Earth looks like in that context, in that universe, Starbug Smeg says, hail to the panel. Mauler, been enjoying the EFAP Acolyte Omnibus. Which EFAPs have been your favorite for a newcomer to the channel?
Which are my favorite for a newcomer?
Yeah. So basically, if he's sort of new to it, any particular ones that you would recommend to him that would be a lot of fun?
I'd probably just, I know it sounds a bit generic as an answer, but you do the whole sort by most popular. What do the fans love the most? And that's probably ones that are good to start because they just capture sort of what people think of the show generally. And you're likely going to find episodes that are rather entertaining, get you into the groove quickly.
Cool. Jay Smart says, might try and throw my hat in that ring. Don't know how to adapt my kind of content since I usually do sci-fi, but that'll be talking about the Trial by Fire fan submissions for things. I would say, like, look, say you do sci-fi, there's ways to do sci-fi, almost like people in a room, like, but have it in a sci-fi setting. You can work in like technology or whatever that alters the way people interact or alters the dynamics of a confrontation or whatever. Don't let that put you off necessarily. Things can still be done if it's creatively managed. Darius White says, hail open bar, 3 immutable warnings of life. Never lick a knife, never fight a land war in Asia, and never allow Will Smith to adapt a sci-fi IP. That's pretty good advice, yeah.
Poor guy.
I mean, he did iRobot. That was all right.
It did okay. It was before.
I don't know if he was like. I don't know if he was just like he was just an actor in it rather than a producer or anything. But yeah, that was all right. Polysemia says, "Bring back Mr. Bronson." Indeed. Keith May says, Hollywood is so creatively bankrupt, it wouldn't surprise me to see Bruce Willis in Look Who's Not Talking next year with a baby doing his voiceover. That is harsh, man.
Damn.
That is brutal. Zoomer Jack. Adolescence is based on a real-life murder that happened in the UK, except the real murderer was a black teenager and the real victim was a white girl. I know, it's funny how that gets glossed over, isn't it? But, that's, that's the way these things are done now. Andrew Lee says, Death of a Unicorn. Seen it? Thoughts? I laughed my ass off.
No, I have not seen it.
I think Erin had seen it, actually, but we never really got a chance to talk about it, unfortunately, so not too well up on it. Ministry of Dinosaurs. Adolescence seems to me like a partisan version of 2012's Canadian movie Blackbird. It's about a boy up against society's image of him. Highly recommend. Nice. Okay. Thanks for the recommendation. Yeah, we were talking before about how it's just become this cudgel to beat young boys over the head with, are you ashamed enough of yourself? Do you feel like you owe society a debt now because of like this fictional murder that happened on TV and like forcing them to watch it at school? It's going to have the opposite effect of what you think, my friends. Snex says, remember when Marvel Comics had someone become a villain because they watched Jeremy on Geeks and Gamers? I do, yeah. It's easily done. Disregard. If DD doesn't think deterrence works, then why be DD at all? Daredevil. Isn't the stuff that he does as Daredevil also a form of deterrence on criminals? Yeah, that whole fucking confrontation, that whole like scene was just insane. It's like the writers went into it with a very specific agenda of like we can't judge criminals unfairly. Okay, it's society that's the problem. It's society like punishing them too much that's the problem. And it's like you don't even know what you're saying, and this does not gel with like Daredevil's philosophy on life, on crime, on punishment. It's insanity.
Correct.
Jeffrey says, "R.I.P. Val Kilmer." Indeed.
Yeah.
Rum-soaked gamer. Really hope Platoon and everyone really makes it to the next GRCON. He just earned himself a drink. Hail to this panel. Cheers. Which one's GRCON? What's that?
GR. Gamer Revival.
Retardation?
Sure, we'll go with that.
Yeah, okay. Don't be hasty, says, I think the sad truth is that John Boyega might have trouble finding work if he criticizes the studio he works for. I mean, he doesn't really work for anyone at the moment, does he? He's a free agent. I was saying this earlier, though. I think he's gearing up to try and get another role in a Star Wars movie. Same with Kelly Marie Tran. Hence, they're towing the company line now and blaming the fans for everything. And it's a bit sad, really. It's just like John Boyega's done fuck all since Star Wars, and probably he will do fuck all afterwards, but he just wants the attention and the money, I guess.
Well, yeah, I was surprised to see that comment, but here we are.
The Wicker Man says, Drinker just spoiled the show for Mauler. Which show did I spoil? I spoil so many.
Well, I don't know.
This was open bar 137, so we were talking about... what was it that time?
Well, people just mentioned Adolescence. Was it that?
I mean, I guess it probably was, yeah. I can't think of anything else that we'd covered that night that you hadn't seen. But yeah, it was necessary to explain some of it just so people would have context, I guess. I don't think you're going to watch it anyway, are you?
I mean, there's so many different things I need to watch. I just don't think it might not make it. Even recently, it's been difficult keeping up with The Last of Us and Mobland, and I need to rewatch Andor ahead of not rewatch it, but watching Andor. So yeah. I don't think I'll have the time.
That starts this week, doesn't it, Andor?
I think so.
Okay.
I need more time.
Please tell me they're not going to release like fucking 3 episodes all at once or anything like that.
Oh yeah. That's been the plan for a while.
Motherfucker.
They're doing 3 weekly. It's a movie every week.
Is this some kind of like anti-reviewer like policy that they've got?
Well, I assume
we get punished by having to watch 3 fucking hours of this.
It's got to be a strategy because of the primary criticism of the first season was its pacing. So it's like, let's get a full arc every time so that there's no waiting around in case that cripples its popularity, which, we'll see what happens.
It's not going to have any popularity. Like, if people didn't watch like season 1, I don't think they're going to tune in for season 2.
I mean, I think that's a fair guess.
Acid Hot Pocket says John's finally ready to be Disney Plus. I bet, yeah, I'd be angling for a Finn show on Disney Plus. Mr. Tickle Trunk, Hollywood's Grima Wormtums are the journalists. They really are, yeah. Force Geek says, imagine the hate that Hayden got compared to Boyega. Probably, yeah. I mean, he got a lot of shit, didn't he, for his performance?
Yes.
Reno the Turk says, did drinkers say Idra's elbows? Yes, I did, and I regret nothing. That's why I always refer to him as. Aurora Uplinks. It would be okay if they made a Finn Poe buddy cop movie for Star Wars. They both go on an adventure, fight the Empire, build a ship crew, adventure, etc. That would be cool, yeah. But like, there'd have to be a strong female character there to like boss them around and, you know, fix everything when they fuck up constantly. So yeah, that would just leech all the fun out of it. Southeastern Kaiju says Rey can force zoom with Kylo, but picking up that Finn is force sensitive is beyond her powers. Lame. There's so many things about the script there that's lame.
Yeah.
None of it makes sense. WG. John Boyega struggles to play the character of John Boyega, let alone an Imperial janitor. Zeddy Boy. Yesterday was Pedro's 50th birthday. Happy birthday to you, Pedro Pascal.
Wow. What a way to celebrate.
Hope you had an acceptable day. Zombified Guitarist says, why are modern celebs trying to speedrun stardom? Well, because like we live in an attention deficit society now, and you know, your run as a star tends to be quite short these days. So I guess they have to try and get to the top as quickly as possible. But the funny thing is that they speedrun crashing and burning as well, which is just hilarious to watch. Alt Grendel says the mouse needs to stop doing anything with the Star Wars IP for at least 10 years. Or how about forever and just sell it to someone who can actually do something.
Pop a few zeros on that number.
Yeah.
Even for extra ones.
Rum-Soaked Gamer says, Ray, did you ever hear the tragedy of Darth Plagueis the Wise? Yeah. Jace Darkfire. They released the 5-minute Superman teaser. Yeah. Yeah, they did. Anyway, moving on. Dunkirk Media says, Hail Drinker and Bar, you inspired me to start a channel, and our first good versus bad screenwriting video is doing really well. Excellent. Thanks for paving the way and inspiring us to create good content. Well, I wish you all the best, man. Hope it works out well for you. Dragon Ball Z. This movie could have been about existential loneliness and exploring alien locations and surviving against unknown alien creatures, because that's what the game originally was, but instead we got Corpo Slop. Yeah, but isn't that Corpo Slop nice and juicy for you? Yeah, I mean, people are slurping it up. What can I say? Axel's Abode. Holdo should have been Wedge. Way more potential, in my opinion.
Oh, fuck yeah.
That would have been cool. Albert Poolhalls. What's your pitch to save Indiana Jones with a 6th movie to round out the second trilogy? Fuck no. My intro, it's 1975. Mutt Williams is a POW escaping North Vietnam as the US pulls out. Indy finds out that he's alive. No, I mean, that's a nice idea, but please stop. Stop with the Indiana Jones movies. Just let him die. This character's been tortured enough. You know, Harrison Ford's been tortured enough.
Yeah, just let it go.
OMG Puppies. Erin is a great guest. How about inviting Bronze Age Pervert to the show sometime? Sure, I can look him up. VMI Child Soldier says, with Rian Johnson as the director of your biography, you notice 5 aspiring thespians to be your plucky sidekick with a sweet producer credit. Make your choice. You've got to choose between Phoebe Waller-Bridge, Erin Kellyman, Amy Schumer, Katherine Heigl, or Kristen Stewart.
Oh, we answered this, did we? We all ended up with Katherine Heigl.
I think so, yeah. This might have been one that I picked out. Oh, yeah, because it was a $50 super chat, so we probably did see that on the night. Anyway, that being the case, we'll move on. The Rad Dad Realtor says, the only good part about the new Daredevil show is that I'm rewatching the old Daredevil show. That's a good part, yeah. Aziong651. The whole John Boyega statement confuses me more than anything else. I remember some of the biggest complaints being that Finn's character was shafted, so we were on John's side, so where the hell did this come from? Yeah, just a desire for money and attention, I think, and probably a role in a Disney Plus production. Keaton Kitsune. EFAP's Mount Rushmore of games should have been the Ultima series. JRPGs were spawned from it, and Ultima Underworld created Doom, Elder Scrolls, and Biosystem Shock. Sorry, I work during streams usually. Forgive the non sequitur. Yeah, I mean, what do you think about that, Mauler?
We did a huge, long discussion about the Mount Rushmore of a couple of things. It was just like what would end up on different. One I thought that was interesting I saw recently was there was like this viral post that said, you know, people will do anything to refuse Wonder Woman's access to Mount Rushmore. So there was a picture of Batman, Superman, Spider-Man, and Captain America, and they were like, that's clearly Wonder Woman's slot. And I was looking at it and I was like, no, the truth is just that there's only 3 superheroes on the Mount Rushmore. There's not 4. Yeah. It's not even Iron Man, I think, reaches Spider-Man, Batman, and Superman. It's just he's kind of tier 2 still, if anything.
Iron Man is just like, he is huge because of Robert Downey Jr.'s portrayal of him.
Well, I'm not going to deny he's just not the same though. Batman, Superman, and Spider-Man, they all have look at their history, right? Like everybody recognizes them, everyone knows their stories, everyone sees multiple versions, and studios are constantly trying to bank on them. While Iron Man, I'm sure they're still wondering, like, do we recast or do we even know? Wolverine's probably, arguably, maybe someone who could make it up there before Iron Man. I'm not sure yet. It's our culture's a little confusing on that front, but there are 3 major superheroes, and then others. I'm sorry, they're just there's a bit of a gap. And then the others start to get considered in terms of popularity.
I think that's fair. Yeah, I think that's pretty fair.
And saying that Wonder Woman should be on level with those 3 is like, sorry, that's just not true.
It's like, that's just like, we want a woman there, basically. Like,
yeah, well,
they
they
have
said
to pretend that there's some conspiracy to keep her out, and it's like, maybe she's just not that good in the first place.
They said it was clearly sexism, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. Fresh RC says, Reaper said something along the lines of, when we say we want something original, the obvious implication is that we also want it to be good. Yeah, I think that's fair. The Blacksmith says, with the slow bloat death of big movie studios, do you think the future lies in indie and B movies now, like AAA gaming and indie developers? I think there's a middle ground where I'd love to see the return of mid-budget movies, because you need a certain amount of resources to bring a creative vision to life, like, you know, to a reasonable standard, and like that can't be done with indie movies. So yeah, mid-budget I think is the way forward, and I'd want to see more of that. Hopefully we can get it. Jay Fraser, hail gents, your favorite Val Kilmer role/film?
It's gonna be Doc Holliday and Tombstone.
Fuck yeah, I think everyone's gonna pick that realistically. I mean, I do love him as Iceman as well, but yeah, clearly that's a more challenging role as playing Doc Holliday. Albert Poolhalls says, appreciate the conversation on indie journalism and production. In the spirit of that, our 1960s rock project tries to differ from corporate music slot machine. The Mina Marlene review. P.S. Whiskey. All right, go for it, man. Hope you do well. Andrew Howard, R.I.P. Val Kilmer. Lots of memories of watching The Ghost in the Darkness with my siblings growing up. Love the show. I rewatched that movie not that long ago. The special effects didn't hold up especially well, but yeah, overall it's a pretty cool story, and he does give a good performance in it. SBA says, making things out of spite instead of joy and love. Yeah, that's most of Disney at this point, especially Star Wars. Chikai says, turning Doctor Who into Desmond's is a bold move. Fuck, that's a long reference. That I remember Desmond's, the show. That was really cool. Yeah, it was about a barbershop in London, and it was one of the few shows back then. I think it was probably from the 70s maybe, or the early 80s. It was an all-black cast, so it was quite a revolutionary thing back then. But really funny, really good stuff. But yeah, I guess that's what Doctor Who's turned into now as well. Jeffrey Thistle says, so glad these 5 people watch all this garbage so that I don't have to. Haven't been inside a theater in a decade. God, think of all the time and money you've saved by not watching shit like this. Yeah, I'm glad we can help. Reno the Turk says, Mauler, Superman, here he comes. I'm not sure what that's a reference to.
It's when Dakota Johnson was being interviewed and about Madam Web, and the guy says, you know, what she know about Spider-Man? She's like trolling, and she's like, I know all the Spider-Mans. She's like, he's like, can you name them? And she's like, yeah. You have Spider-Man, here he comes. Spider-Man, there he goes. Like, then she says Spider-Man and the Goblet of Fire, I think. Like, she's absolutely fucking around. So
she is pretty good. Simple Motions. So, did they make Superman gay or a dependent beta who needs the improvement of Lois to even do anything useful? And Superman joins emo Batman. Hard to tell so far, but that first 5 minutes did not get people excited. Doomcrow. Why does Superman suits look so baggy? It also looks like he has a red diaper on that looks full, like he shat himself. Maybe he did. Got beat up pretty hard.
Bad enough that it's a diaper. It's like it also looks full.
I mean, everyone said it, but yeah, this suit does look kind of shitty and baggy, and I don't like. And the sad thing is as well, didn't the actor get himself like really bulked up for this? Like apparently he'd been training really hard, but you would never know it with a shit suit like that.
Oh, they'll have him shirtless at some point.
Probably, yeah. Normal man. British punishments be like, you blinked without a license. That's 3 hours in the sunlight for you. Pretty much. No, sunlight. Reno the Turk. If Maforgan comes before Matugan and Mathregan, Manigan is the square root of Six-Gun Kelly's fart sound. I mean, yeah, sure.
All that made sense.
Yeah. Pridden Chronicles. You can't beat the epic opening to the original Superman. Krypton, Brando, Zod Trial, Trevor Howard and Brando reprising their mutiny on the bounty rivalry as Fletcher and Bly. They got some good actors for that fucking movie, man. It's still hard to believe. TWF. Little Platoon. Though I know you're a man of taste, do you have a guilty pleasure movie or series that is considered bad? We can't answer that on his behalf, but there's one for you, Muller. Did you play the God of War Valhalla DLC? This should be an easy one.
Yes, and I loved it. I thought it was excellent. I don't even want to talk about it too much because you need to play it, Drinker, okay?
I do
Get
indeed.
stuck in.
Oh, I know. I was enjoying Assassin's Creed Shadows just so much, man. I didn't want it to end. Next one, Random Dude says... actually, there's nothing there. It's just a super sticker, but thank you, man. Appreciate it. Des Roma says, should we be concerned that after Muller spent the evening with Gary, he declares, I'm a sperm expert?
Well,
I mean, you tell us, Muller.
You learn things from fun places. What can I say? You know,
very fun. Summit Shah says, excited to hear about Trial of Fire, or with the long man writing it. I'm an actor and would be part of the movie. How can I audition? Well, the tricky part there is you probably need to be based in Canada because it's going to be shot there, unless it's your one, Muller, which is going to be done over here in the UK. So best way is to contact us through the Kickstarter. We can put you in touch with Travis, who I guess is going to be handling that sort of thing. And then we can sort you out with, some potential roles there. And I guess you'll need to send in an audition tape. But yeah, you obviously know the normal way. If you're an actor, send us in any demo reel that you've got, and any details of like previous performances, that sort of thing. Aurora Uplinks says Firefly reboot following the war of the original and following a new ship crew, similar origins, new purpose, searching for answers to change fate. What do you think, more?
Who knows? Who could say? Good work.
Nick Singleton, Superman is going to give Fantastic Four a run for its money. I think it is, yeah, definitely. I think, as we probably said on the night, I think Jurassic World is probably going to give both of them a run for their money. It could end up dominating the box office in July.
It just seems the most reliable for the audiences, I guess.
Yeah. Ebony Pope, Drinker or Little Platoon, please, I urge you to watch Sorcerer from 1977. Tarantino thinks it's one of the greatest movies ever. Well, then we must watch it, clearly. Maybe he and I could watch it and do like a happy hour on it. Andrew Valdez, I can't believe the Minecraft movie had a reference to Technoblade. What a disgrace. I mean, it's just a meme compilation, really, isn't it? Jay Fraser, when did The Simpsons drop off for you? For me, it was upon every episode having a guest star with no impact and every parody being a lackluster dud. Yeah, I think it was probably like maybe 2003, 2004 that I really noticed it. It's like, oh, this is just relying on like whatever star of the week they can bring in. It's kind of not that impressive anymore.
A lot of people pick it was Lady Gaga back in the day, I think, as a guest star.
Yeah.
But I would probably aim earlier than that, yeah.
Morgan Smario says, I don't think the physical media for Switch is actually physical. I think it's a digital key. You don't get the whole 1.0 version of the game. You just get a DRM to download it via disc, I believe. Fuck. I hate gaming now. Hate where it's going. Andy makes Star Wars. This is probably going to be the same answer as before. R.I.P. Val Kilmer. What film comes to mind when you think of his career? Again, we both probably are going to say Tombstone.
Yeah.
And Rory Swain says, Hail to the Drinker & Co. This is my final super chat as a single man, as tomorrow is my wedding day. Tomorrow, I marry the love of my life. Cheers. That is awesome. That's actually the last super chat as well. What a beautiful way to finish up. No, congrats, man. I assume the wedding went great, and I hope you two guys are happily married and had a lovely honeymoon. But that was actually the last of the super chats there for Open Bar 137. So thank you guys for sending so many in. We appreciate it, and we did our best to answer. And we also will catch up on the supers for Open Bar 138 as well. But for tonight, that is all we've got for today. So go away now.
Bye-bye.